Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having a conversation with us. Maybe first, can you first introduce yourself so that we understand who we're talking to?
Yes, I am Ishmael Maposa. I am the country director of Housing with Botswana.
Yes, I'm John Karami, project manager at Civils, and in particular the hybrid project pipeline.
Okay. So over the past day or few hours, Facebook has been awash with allegations of substandard job by 𝐀𝐑𝐄 Civils. We want to understand from you, did you do a substandard job, and are there any defects within the project as you had delivered it to the president?
The answer is no. Our work is of quality, it's quality work. Maybe let me just give you a brief background of this entire project. July 2020, we finished what we call the pipeline, where we were able to connect all pipes, all the chambers without water. Now, from July, we started putting water into the pipeline, which was now the commissioning stage. Now, during commissioning, as we're putting water into the line, that's when now you see that maybe somebody has not tightened the screw, water will come out of let me say, a valve. And this is where now you saw some projects that you are seeing now. This was about 6 months back. So during commissioning period, it's not like a day. It's not like you commission a day. It's a process that.
Sorry to disturb you and interrupt you there. When you say commissioning, for someone to understand, what exactly are you talking about? The project was done within, it was a 1-year project. You did it in a less time. But when you say commissioning, help us understand what it is that you're talking about.
For Botswana, commissioning, I'm talking actually, what you call that the pipe is not connected. Without water, without anything in it. Now, when you start putting water in it, now we are starting the commissioning of the pipeline. That's a number now to deal with the technical aspects of the pipeline. But I'm trying to make it as simple as it is for a Motswana guy for commissioning water. Now, as water adds a more pipeline, there is whereby there will be leaks within the pipeline. Let's say, like was a good example, maybe the screws were not tightened. That's the time that now you start tightening. There will be a chamber. You'll be, say, dealing with between chamber and chamber, and then you are pressurizing the pipeline to see whether there are any leaks. Then if you are okay with that, you move to the next thing. So it's a stage. It goes on and on and on like that. So during commissioning, that's when you saw there were some leaks, there were some things that need to be done. And I don't know, somebody for whatever reason, about and then put them as breaking news over now the pipeline is leaking. There's no leak in the line. Yes.
Maybe help us understand what gets into erecting such a pipeline. Take us through the process for someone to be able to understand. Because as Mr. Ishmael was saying, those are old pictures from the commissioning. But help us understand what it really means.
Yeah, in the construction phase, we have the planning phase where we plan how we execute the works. And then we come on the ground where we dig the trenches and we start assembling the pipes. And then from the execution phase, then we enter the phase where we need to start checking whether the pipes are starting the pressures, whether they are able to do what they were designed to do. So the first phase of construction has happened prior to July. And towards the month of July, now we had an indicator that our pipeline is practically completed. And that now leaves us to start testing our pipes, to start indicating to the client that what you will be tendered for is what we are giving. That's when we put the water. And upon putting the water, we usually pressurize it to a certain bars, meaning we want to put it to the maximum pressure, see that even in the worst case scenario, we will be able to hold. Now, in some cases, we find that there are loose joints. That's why now we organize a lot of teams and a lot of techniques to see whether we start doing the commissioning. After commissioning, when the water came through the pipeline and entered this tower, now we entered in now the phase of having a good client. And that meant that Masama, where the water comes from, it has climbed to an elevation where we are, and it enters in this tower. And the other thing which we do when it enters in this tower is to make sure that that water is there, it goes to the mixer 3, which is the contact tanks of the client. That happened even around October, September, October.
Yeah.
From that moment when we had over the project and we had a ceremony here, these pumps have never ceased. They have been operating like this 24 hours. And can attest by the sound, that is water coming in here. When it arrives here, it breaks the gravity. So it's coming with about 4 bars when it arrives here. And it has to be broken down so that it will enter the contact tank without causing any destruction. So now it comes down and it goes to the mixer 3. Mixer 3 is the last chamber to be constructed. Just behind that, there's a new structure you can see there.
Yes.
You can see the tip of it. That is the mixer 3. That is where the water enters into the client's contact tanks. And from there now it becomes ready for consumption after further treatment.
So when the project was now commissioned and submitted to the client and submitted to the president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, when he was here at the commissioning of the project, the ceremony, what did that mean in essence? Does it mean that the project is done? Does it mean that the pipe is done? Does it mean everything else is sorted? What does it really mean?
That means that whatever we were supposed to give to our client, we have actually achieved it. But from that point of handover to the client, we still have 1 year, which is called the defect liability period. If there is a loose nut on this project, I'll go and tighten it at our cost for the period of 1 year. So we will only vacate the project right around September, October 2022. If I get a call now that there is a leaking valve or there is any defect, I jump there with my maintenance team and we maintain. So you cannot find people for what? Touching this pipeline now. They will only come to touch it after the September, October 2022. So that is now what we call the last phase of the project, which is a defect liability period. Which now we will invite the client at the lapse of the defect liability period to work with us again. Now ratify that the job is done, the defect liability period has been completed, and we shake hands and we work with it.
So in essence, right now you're at the second stage of the project, which is checking for defects and for the liabilities.
Defect liability.
Yes. And that
1 year, 12 months.
Okay. So in that whole process, if anything happens, who is responsible and who takes the blame for anything that happens in the pipeline and in the project?
The contractors.
So it's 𝐀𝐑𝐄 𝐓𝐇𝐄. Okay. So now getting back to the circulating pictures. So if, for instance, if there's a pipe leak, if there's a pipe burst, would we see any type of water flowing in there?
No. If there is any leakage of the pipeline, the telemetry system will advise the pumping station at Massa. And the moment they realize that there is a pressure drop, it automatically switches on the pumps. And then the call comes to me to say that there must be something wrong on the line. And I will then mobilize the team. When there is no water on the pipeline being pumped, so this place will be quiet, there will be no water.
So the presence of this, what does this then mean to us? Yes, please.
This one is the water coming from one of the pipelines.
Yes. Please explain that so that there is audibility and to avoid too much noise coming in from the water. Please explain. Yes.
What you saw on that picture is a product of 2 pipes. The pipe which comes from the summer is 1 meter diameter. It breaks into 2, which now enters into 2 chambers. So those two pipes are delivering water to the combination chamber, so that now it can flow back to the client's contact.
Yeah. So if there is no presence of water in this place, so this means, what would it mean? Does it mean that there is a pipe burst, or what does it mean?
Yes, it means that there is a reduction of pressure when
Yeah.
the pumps have been switched off. The pump will be switched off for any reason. Maybe they are interchanging from the other systems. That could also mean that there is no water. But from our point of view, if there is no water because of the leak, there will be no water coming up here. Because the pressure would have reduced. Because remember when the leak happened, the water now doesn't further on the pipe. So the water has been reduced in terms of pressure. So they cannot climb here.
So now, I would like us to also go into the pipeline. Hopefully, we'll try as much as we can to do to cover as much ground with it, so that we understand and be able to see exactly what happens in the pipeline and the process of it. I see outside here there are various pipes that are ongoing there. Is that attributed to you guys, or what happens?
No, he's another contractor. It's not, these are different contractors. It's a different president, not yes.
Okay, so now can we go down so that we we see what happens? I will be going down the pipeline. This is how far it is, so that we have an idea of what then happens. We apologize for the movement. This is the point where I was trying to get down from the top height of where the project is, or where the water was. So now we're going down to try and see the pipeline and be able to see if indeed they did the job as they had said.
This is the tap which the president used to commission the water. This is still running. As you can see.
So that means what?
It means that the pressure is still there, the water is still on the line.
So the presence of water and the line is indicated by this.
Yes, that the pipeline has got water, it has got pressure, it is still coming up to this point. And the pumps are running.
No, I see men are still constructing here. Let's walk and talk about what's happening in the process here. I see men at work. What is happening here and what's the process here? I thought the bulk of the work was done with the commissioning, like you had said, and with the first phase, which was putting in the pipes within the ground. So what's this part?
These are the final steps of automating the system. We put a control room where the telemetry system will be able to communicate with the Masama and also the water treatment plant, the works. So manually the water is going into the system. Now we need to automate it so that somebody is able to see from his computer screen that the pressures are low, the pressures are high, indicative of where the problem could be. So basically it is for automating the system.
You talk about a system. For some of us, we don't know what system it is that you're talking about. Water is water, open and closed, that's water. Break it down so that we what it means.
Tank, which is about 40 kilometers from here. If the feeder tank is overflowing for whatever reasons, the laboratory system indicates to the computer, or for somebody who is sitting at the pumping station, that there is water loss at the feeder tank, and he is able to activate and close down some of the valves automatically without somebody going there physically.
Okay. So maybe we apologize for that technical glitch. Yes.
Oh, okay.
And what are, we see pipes here? What are these pipes?
These are conduits where the laboratory line. These are conduits. This just empty. These are empty water pipes. This is where you're going to have all our wires going in for communication.
Okay. Like I said, the intention is to be able to drive through the pipeline and make stops so we understand what exactly is entailed. So, Mr. Engineer, where we were, what is it called again? The top part where we were at?
That's the inlet tower.
The inlet tower.
Yes.
For those who don't understand, please explain again what the inlet tower does and its purpose.
The inlet tower is for breaking the pressure because it comes with a very high bar. So what happens is that take it to the tower, breaks it down as it enters the tower chamber, and then the water from there follows the gravity to the contact tank. Contact tanks being where the works, the water utility is the place where they dispatch the water to the communities.
Yes. There's actually a comment here. Someone is saying, in terms of commissioning, at what stage do you then say that the project is completely handed over to the client, which is water utilities?
Well, that will be after the defect liability period. Once now the defect liability period lapses, that's where now the project will be handed over to the client. Yeah.
So in essence, one would say the project was what? Was it 2 years or was it 1 year?
It's 1 year plus 12 months defect liability period.
And in that, sorry.
During the time of the defect liability period, the client is already using it's already basically utilizing the plant fully. That is why he could not use the water during the construction, but once you have constructed and you have finished, practically handed over and commissioned, then he takes over the project, but gives you 1 year to manage all your defects if it would be any. That's basically the essence of the defect liability period.
What kind of defects are we talking about in that process or in that time frame?
You would imagine that most of these are all fittings which are manufactured. Some valves could just be defective. That's the time to detect them, because they are also being tested by various pressures. I mean, you sit at 8 bars, another time you could be pumping to 20, 22 bars. The other time you could be fluctuating. So any component of the plant which would fail at that point, that's when we come in and repair. But so far we haven't faced any for the past 4 months. Yeah, we have been. It has been all positive.
Okay.
Yes.
So the pictures that we saw, they do not speak to defect and liability, or what do they speak to?
Those are construction phase.
No. Remember, we said when we started commissioning, when we started putting water in the pipeline, that's when we experienced a bit of leaks in the pipeline. And that is when those pictures were taken. That was the beginning of commissioning. Yes.
Explain what you mean when you say beginning of commissioning.
Initially, I'd said there is practical completion where the line was completed but didn't put water in it.
Yes.
Now, when we started putting water in, that's when the beginning of commissioning. That's when now you start seeing some leaks when water started going into the line. Okay. Yes.
I see some pipes here. Are these part of 𝐀𝐑𝐄 pipes? Because I see them around the Mamashia treatment plant where you've been doing work.
No, these are a different treatment plant, but it's not our project.
Yes. So this means all this has got nothing to do with cattle.
All the excavation that you see here is nothing to do with us. It's not us. It's a different contractor. But I believe we'll show you where our line and this contractor interchange, so that you can see. John will explain the technicalities of the pipe, to explain how a pipe that is exposed will look like.
Okay, now that we're outside, initially we were at that plant. So maybe some elaboration, the connection between this pipe and where we were from.
Yeah, this is our 1 meter diameter pipe, which is coming from Masama. You are fortunate to see this one because this is the only. Yeah, I'm saying you are fortunate to see this one because this is the only exposed pipeline in the entire line. And the reason this one has been exposed, it has been exposed by this contractor because their pipeline comes under. So they had to locate this one between one pipe which was coming heading here and the next one. So this is a joint, just like those two pipes you see here. This is where they meet. Most of the social media, they showed you work in progress, where a welder has welded the two pipes. The next phase from that picture would be grinding off of all the weld to make it smooth. And after making it smooth, then you get...
You were still explaining the pipe there.
Yes.
Because of the network problems, we got cut off a bit there. Maybe then explain to us exactly, since we're already seeing.
So, in a nutshell, all the joints on this project, which are welded, that you might have seen one of the pictures on the social media, which shows the raw welding. That is
Yes, you were saying?
Yeah, I was saying that after the welding is done and cleaned, then we clean by the act of grinding. Then we do the X-ray. X-ray is to confirm that the weld has been 100% done in quality, and then the weld has fused, meaning that there is no porous in the weld. After that, after the X-ray, then we would then come and apply the corrosion protection chemicals, and then we wrap it, what you saw. So any weld on this pipeline, any joint on this pipeline which has been welded, that is the final product. So what you had been seeing on the social media is work in progress. Somebody took a picture of that the welders have finished welding and then declared it like the final product, which was not the case.
Okay. Now that we are outside, can we at least show us where the pipeline, where the pipes are laid outside?
You would not see them physically. Once upon a time, there was a trench here, and we put the pipes in, we connected them. That is kilometer 81. And the pipeline has been buried and it is on the ground, and the water is going through that pipeline.
So are there any chances of us seeing any pipes outside as per the pictures that we're seeing circulating on social media?
No, not on our 100. Those which pictures are old, they are July during construction. Yes. Otherwise, the whole line you will not find any piece of pipe.
So the whole line, in essence, would be like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe as we walk, so that you can tell us what that is. What would that be then?
This is structure.
Yes.
This is a swabbing chamber. Swabbing chamber is basically like a toothbrush. After a certain period of the project, most likely like 5 years, we might, or the client might want to flush the line to clean it. So what usually happens is that we have some swabbing chambers which are called launching, and others are intermediate, and this one is a receiving. So meaning that there would have been a ball which would have been introduced in the launching chamber, and that ball comes into the pipe, pushing all the sludge and the sludge.
So the sludge is the green thing that we usually see around water pipes and whatever. So in Setswana that would be like bulele.
Yeah. But because it doesn't happen on a daily basis, the water is clean. If they test it, let's say for after 5 years, and pick up that there is dirt in the line from source, and it has been deposited in the system, then the swabbing chamber is for that purpose. And this is the first one in this project. I haven't seen in any of the projects in the past or the coming future. So we introduced these ones for clients to be able to swab the system maybe after 5 years or in an interval.
How many of these chambers do you then have?
The swabbing chambers we have 9.
In the whole 100 kilometers?
100 kilometers, because they go after, let's say about 10 kilometers, you install one. After 10 kilometers, you install one. There are 3 types. There is the intermediate, the launching, and the receiving. Receiving means receiving the ball. Launching means launching the ball.
What does that mean? You're very technical with receiving and launching. That's very technical.
The beginning one would be the launch. That is where you're going to install, you're going to launch the ball inside the system.
Yes.
And then it is pushed to the next one, which now will be the receiving. At receiving, you remove your ball and your sludge. Basically, that's the essence.
Yes. So are you trying to tell me that where we're walking up to now, so that whole path, that's where the pipeline is?
Yes.
What was the process that was entailed in ensuring that you rehabilitate the land? What needed to happen?
Now, the rehabilitating the land is basically putting it back into its original state. And because of the rains and all that, we usually get, now and then, we would get a farmer or a family which would have a problem maybe with accessing their property because the water has poured on their gates. So because we get those ones on ad hoc basis, what we usually do, we usually mobilize our teams to go and level the area if it requires leveling, channel the water where it's supposed to be, if that could be the case. So that has been an ongoing exercise.
Yes. That's what especially is to look at any other issues. It's not only about the leaks in the pipe. It can be maybe somebody complaining about a fence. My fence is not okay. Come and reset my fence. That's the way.
Have you had any complaints of that kind, of any nature?
Of
Whether the fence whether the community or the land relaying that you guys needed to deal with?
Yeah, currently I'm dealing with 3 or 4 instances. I have a team now as we talk. There's a team in Atisha by the clinic. When we did our pipe, we moved the pavements out of the way to facilitate that. Now, when we started putting up because we started from Masama side coming up, so we put a team there. They go through the village with a resident engineer, Mr. Mojapoko. We go with him. He tells us maybe this place there is a problem. There was a paving which was here. Then we go to a stockpile and we get a team to rectify that. And then you come to like kilometer 23. There is also some pavings which are going to a small substation there. We also find that our guys had worked on that one. Then there is a fence at Rasesa. There's a lady who removed his fence and we reinstalled it. He would call now and then to indicate that maybe there is something which is not properly fixed. Our team would just be there the following day and fix it. So it's usually an ad hoc basis. I wouldn't have a problem if I get a call now that there is a farmer in Boka who is saying that he can't access his property. We need to revoke it. As long as it is part of what our pipeline changed, then we have to go and reinstate it.
As a country director here, meaning you're stationed here locally, what has been your relationship like with your client, which is water utilities?
Well, I would say we have a very good relationship with the client, because understand that whatever we do, we are doing it together with the client. Whatever we do, whether we are reinstating a fence, we tell the client that is what we do. Usually they talk to the client before they come to us, and the client will tell us that go and do this part. That's what we do.
So in terms of the processes that had to go into the pipeline, was the client available for inspection and observing if everything is done accordingly?
It would be legal for us to give approval of the client. Everything has to be approved by the client.
I can also come to that. The structure on the ground was like this. We had the main resident engineer had 2 assistant resident engineers working with him. So we had a team of 3 from the works who worked with us from the inception up to today. They are still with us. They are still on the pipeline. Actually, we do drive this pipeline in the morning and in the afternoon to just make sure that everything is working before we return to bed. And in the morning when we come, the first thing is to drive the 100 kilometers to confirm that everything is as we left it yesterday. And all the client also does that.
Any last words from you gentlemen as we wrap up the conversation?
No, for me it's just let's continue the spirit of giving the country the water. I understand that we have had a breakdown of the system since we commissioned it. That's a heads up for us, and let's keep it up.
Yeah, well, just to assure Baswara that actually, we are happy that there's no leak. Contrary to what was said before, the line is intact. As you can see, we did a very good job, and it's a quality pipeline delivered to Baswara.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.